All right, we're live for day 14 of NaNoWriMo. Now I'm trying something, but it doesn't look like it's going through. All right. All right, so I'm not totally sure how this works, so we're gonna take it back this way. All right, so hopefully this is still streaming. Okay, straight legendary. All right, let's go. We are live now. There we go. All right. So this should not be upcoming. This should be going live. Stream. I'm already streaming. Okay. So yeah. I also don't know exactly what that means. So we're going to go back to this part that I know. Streaming here. Put that in there. Changes were saved. And okay, so I don't know. There's like two places that are saying it's like a live control room for a stream. But then when I go to one of those places, it doesn't really show. It doesn't really show anything, so it doesn't show the stream in one of the control room places on YouTube. So I go back to the other control room and it is there, and I can see me and I can see the stream, and I can also see like comments and stuff. So so yeah, it is 11:15 p.m. and totally almost didn't get this stream in. Man, and it has been a long day, but we made the commitment, so we're going to get at least a few minutes in. I don't feel like I've been saying this a lot. This has been crazy. I mean, I get busy from time to time, and life happens. But I don't know. Like, what's it? It's 2019. I would say this is November, the 11th month. The first 10 months, I would say probably 7 to 8 of those months were just kind of standard. I mean, I was doing stuff, and of course I was working and everything like that. But I mean, it wasn't a whole lot going on. I was working on projects, doing a little bit of traveling, family stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And all of those months, if I would have decided to say, all right, I'm going to do this daily live stream thing, it would have been real easy. Just pop it on, have plenty of time, have large chunks of time. But I decided to do it in November, along with NaNoWriMo. And of course, November ends up being one of the busiest by far months that I've encountered, just with projects, clients, personal stuff. I had to do some unexpected traveling, a couple of really tough tragedies, and then of course Thanksgiving, with planning to spend some time with my family. So this has just been like a wild month. And of course, it's the month that I decided to do this. So I don't know, to make that commitment tonight would have been a good night to not do it, and to just do a little bit more work and go to bed, because I have a couple of clients who are waiting for stuff from me. But I worked on their stuff all day, so I mean, I have a few things that are ready to go from them after I get off the stream. So I was like, I got to take a little bit of a break from it, get this in, and then get back on. It's just going to be a late night. I guess I'm not working out tomorrow because I can't work out on like 4 hours of sleep. Blah. Blah. So, oh boy. But the key is to keep writing. Speaking of that, tomorrow I have to make sure I check in with a couple of my proteges and a couple of people who I'm helping and coaching and see how they're doing. So I gotta give a shout out to them, make sure that things are going okay with their writing projects. Just trying to be inspirational and motivational to as many people as possible. So let's see. All right. Take back what I said. That's what a redaction means. Not take it back, just right. Let's say no, they want me to take it back. They want me to take back what I said. Not take it back, just amend. I'm not gonna do it. You leave me no choice. It's your resignation letter. If you don't make this right, we'll be forced to let you go. After everything I've done for this university, after everything I've done for this university, I know, right? It'll be a shame. I know, right? It would be a shame. You leave me no choice, I leave you no voice. Believe you me, son, I hate to do it just as bad as you hate to see it done. Now calm your voice, cause I'm finding it a little hard to concentrate with all the noise. Get the point, I'll let you go before you leave. And just so to let you know, I need those keys, and I promise you, whether no matter the ever come around here. Every time I read this, you leave me no choice. I think of a Jay-Z song from his first album, Reasonable Doubt. I forgot the name of the song. Oh yeah, friend the foe. Friend the folk. State your biz. You tend to go. There it is. With me, I run the show. Oh, and these kids don't like nobody coming around here messing with their dope. Yeah. Enterprising though. And I like it. Mess with the big dog though. Gotta bite you. Look, it's out of my hands. Getting money around here. It's not in the plans. Chances slimmer than the chicken Calvin Klein pants. Let me guess. They said there was money around here, and the rest is me stopping you from getting it correct. Sorry to hear that. My sense is you got work in that hotel. I'll take care of that. You'll soon see. Now, please, give me a room key. You're twitching. Don't do that. You're making me nervous. I prove well. They do pat when kids is murders. So please, would you put your hands up and such? You don't seem nervous. You can understand that, right? Draw. Better be Picasso. You know the best. Because if this is not so, God bless. Leave me no choice. Leave you no voice. Believe you me, son. I hate to do it just as bad as you hate to see it done. Now call me a boys. Because I'm finding it a little hard to concentrate with all the noise. So we've been in this scene for like the last 10 days of NaNoWriMo. Now we're done. And scene. Oh, Dr. Beck, to what do I owe this pleasure? The door opened a little more, allowing our boss to come in. Vivek closes the door behind her. Jessica goes over to the shelves and pretends to be looking for something. I read your last editorial. In fact, everyone did. And everyone is calling for your head. Are you surprised? This is academia. If someone isn't calling for your head, you're really doing your job. Your job is to research, to lecture, and to present fact-based arguments and hypotheses, not to opine that hyper beings will lead to the demise of the planet. Dr. Beck turned sharply. I didn't say that, Vivek. You know it. I simply suggested we carefully consider all consequences of our current path. He puts a sequence on one of Jessica's screens and pulls up an excerpt of her article. Oh yeah, and that's what I was going to add something here. to our socio to our socio anthropological to our social anthropological ecosystem. Hyperbeing integration, full hyperbeing integration is the single most dangerous threat to our social anthropological ecosystem. If we don't act now, if we don't stem the tide now, if we don't stem the tide now, stem the tide. Where does that expression come from? Let's see what it looks like. Let's see. Stem the tide. Third person singular, simple present, stems the tide. Let's do stem the tide origin. The verb to stem, meaning to stop or restrain, comes from the Old Norse word stemma, meaning to dam. It would take an enormous dam to stop ocean tides, but the tide of public opinion, for example, can be checked or diverted. Stem the tide. Idioms. Stop the course of a trend or tendency, as in, it is not easy to stem the tide of public opinion. The idiom uses stem in the sense of stop or restrain. Stem the tide. All right. Well, we're going for it. Full hyperbeing integration is the single most dangerous threat to our social and anthropological ecosystem. If we don't stem the tide now, we may very well reap we may very well reap cataclysmic consequences. Oh, that's two big words back to back. What? That doesn't come off as a suggestion. It's more like an ultimatum. One of the things I do when I'm typing is I always if I'm replacing something, I always type first before I erase what I'm replacing. It come off as a suggestion. It's more like an ultimatum. Full hyperbeing integration is the single most dangerous threat to our social anthropological ecosystem. If we don't stem the tide now, we may very well reap cataclysmic consequences. That doesn't come off as a suggestion. It's more like an ultimatum. It wasn't. Didn't come to that. I didn't. I merely suggested we carefully consider all consequences of our path. Full hyperbeing integration is the single most dangerous threat to our socio-anthropological ecosystem. If we don't stem the tide now, we may very well reap cataclysmic consequences. That doesn't come off as a suggestion. It's more like an ultimatum. I didn't come to that. I didn't come to that conclusion. I didn't come to that conclusion lightly. I have stacks of future historical data to back up, to back it up. If that's the case, then why do none of your peers or colleagues agree with you? Because they're scared of hyper beings. I refuse to base my literature on fear. Why would we be afraid, Jess? Full hyperbeing integration is a good thing. Having people with powers accepted into the greater society has done nothing but change the world for good. Nothing, so we're gonna forget about all those supervillains out there? Of course not, but the heroes are handling that. We're talking about advances in the physical science, hyper technology, beyond our wildest dreams. Almost every field, from sanitation to entertainment, is better and more efficient than ever. And the future historical data shows those very efficiencies could possibly have some catastrophic effects. Possibly, Jess. Now that we know the problems, we can work to stop them, but we won't do that, especially if we fail to heed the warning signs. I don't understand how you can have such little faith in a future that has already been given to us. I mean, look at this. The event activates one of Jess's holographic screens and types in a sequence. The facade of a gleaming, utopian, futuristic city appears before their eyes. A virtual representation of the timeline also materializes into view, filling a room with zigzagging streams of light littered with years and timestamps. Are you not entertained? Jessica gives her boss a side eye. But seriously, this is what our children have to look forward to. Okay, but what about this? Jessica accesses the screen and inputs a sequence of her own prompting timeline to focus in on March 2254 in a utopian city to transform into a dystopian wasteland. This too is part of our future. True, but then just a couple months later, look. Timeline forward to June the same year, and the wasteland morphs into a cluster of lush garden cities on the side of a mountain, dozens of teddy bears. And then again, just a few weeks later, by the time Christmas arrives, we're back. Jessica, the net gain on our future is positive. The future historical data bears that out. Why focus on the terrible times? It's not the terrible times I'm concerned with. It's the gaps in the timeline that have been warned. In the past, whenever histories have been erased, it has been for specific reasons, and those reasons are never good. Listen, Dr. Beck, the university trustees are asking me to write a redaction. What? They want me to take it back. They want me to take back what I said, not take it back, just amend. I can't do that. All right? It would be a shame. done for this university. I know, right? It would be a shame. Please just make the right decision. I like that scene. I like it. Hey, this is where we rock the party. Rack, 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 rack. Please just make the right decision. All right, we are going to interior. We are going to the Creative Extreme website, and we are going to find Jessica Beck's profile, and we are going to move to the next character, 225, Willie Thompson. So let's see what Willie does. An anthropology professor at Emory University who has worked closely with Dr. Jessica Beck to research the effects of accelerated hyperhuman integration into society and the workforce. Dr. Beck used Willie's extensive research as foundation for her own work, as he had spent several decades studying the cradle of life, a portion of the Middle East believed by many to be where life on Earth began millions of years ago. American society had become split over the effects of hyperhuman integration, and with the recent discovery of Edgar Lockhart as a hyperhuman megavillain, as well as the rise of London Omega as a worldwide hypervillain menace, tensions between the two opposing sides seemed to be at an all-time high. President Enoch Remington attempted to quell the animosity. However, her complicity in Project Intel government program implemented by corrupt official Knox Hyde had caused lots of people to sour on her. So this is referencing back to a whole bunch of stuff previously in Project 365, which if you go to www.thecreativeextreme.com, you'll be able to find all about it. So, but we're not gonna reference that stuff specifically here, unless it's in passing. The idea behind this graphic novel and story is that it could stand alone if it needed to. So let's see. Willie Thomas was one of the academics who actually agreed with the Project Intel initiative and was first in line to have an IntelliCap implanted into his head. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk about Project Intel here. We made some other point, but not right now. Oh, oh, let's see. Um, um, all right. The larger vessel. Okay, when it came to hyperhuman integration, Professor Thomas was a lot more moderate in his beliefs. As a student of social human evolution, he felt it was important to continue moving into the future, but he also believed it had to be done at a sustainable pace. In other words, he saw the need for hyperhuman integration while also seeing the dangers of his current acceleration, which is why he was able to see the mirror in us. All right. Um, mm, mm, so actually, okay, so we have Dr. Woodley Thomas. So we're not gonna go Platinum City Hospital. So we're changing this because in the story he's at Emory, and I believe should I change this? I don't know much about Emory, so I think what I might do is yeah, I don't know. I had it at Emory because I had like a really cool experience at Emory University when I was in college. I went to Oberlin College, represent. And I went and ran a track meet down in Emory. It was really cool. And Atlanta is dope. I have Emory here. I think for the purposes of this, I think I might move the whole thing to Platinum City. Plat City, Plat City. Hmm. Hmm. I think I'm gonna add that in. I think I'm gonna add in the accelerator part. Hmm. 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 Killer bees on the place to be. Oh, hold on. Let me get rid of that. That's the live dashboard. Videos. We are going to, oops. Mm. Hmm. 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 So let's go back now. Hmm. Hmm. All right. So we're going to say that this is accelerated hyperbeing integration. So it's not necessarily the full hyperbeing stuff. That is, it's not the full hyperbeing integration. It's the accelerated. So full is actually not what she's arguing against. So academia, if someone isn't calling for your head, are you really doing your job? Your job is to research, to lecture, and to present fact-based arguments and hypotheses, not to opine that hyperbeings will lead to the demise of the planet. Dr. Beck turns sharply. I didn't say that, Vivette, and you know it. I really suggested we carefully consider all consequences of our current path. Accelerated hyperbeing integration is the single most dangerous threat to our socio-anthropological ecosystem. If we don't stem the tide now, we may very well reap cataclysmic consequences. It doesn't come off as a suggestion. It's more like an ultimatum. I didn't come to that conclusion lightly. I have stacks of future historical data to back it up. If that's the case, then why do none of your peers or colleagues agree with you? Because they're scared of hyper beings. I don't know if this transition, I don't know if this exchange makes 100% sense. 100, I don't know if this makes total sense. I didn't come to that conclusion lightly. I have stacks of future historical data to back it up. If that's the case, then why do none of your peers or colleagues agree with you? It should be something like, um, hmm, hmm. I'm waiting for now. Since cannot have beings, I refuse to base my literature on fear. I would be afraid just. Oh, full hyperbeing integration is a good thing. Having people in there's nothing but good. She says the same thing twice. Why would we be afraid, Jess? We need to get rid of one of these sentences or combine them. I think we're going to get rid of this one. Why would we be afraid, Jess? Having people with powers accepted into the greater society has done nothing but change the world for good. Nothing. So we're going to forget about all those supervillains out there? Of course not, but the heroes are handling that. But the heroes are handling that. We're talking about advances in physical sciences, hyper technology beyond our wildest dreams. Almost every field, from sanitation to entertainment, is better and more efficient than ever. And the future historical data shows those very efficiencies could possibly have some catastrophic effects. Possibly, Jess. Now that we know the problems, we can work to stop them, but we won't, Levette. But we won't. Especially if we fail to heed the warning signs. I don't understand how you can have such little faith in a future that has already been given to us. I mean, look at this. Are you not entertained? But seriously, this is what our children have to look forward to. Okay, but what about this? So I think this exchange right here takes a little bit too long. I think we should just have like a couple things go back and forth. Um, mm, it's a couple months later. Look, pushing the timeline forward to June of the same year, and Wasteland Wars to cluster Busch Garden seasons. Hmm. where do I want to have this next scene? So what I'm going to do here, so I'm kind of mixing my formats here. So I looked at this and I'm roughly at page 18. Traditionally, if this was going to be a screenplay, which is not formatted 100% correctly anyway, to be a play, but at the 25-page mark, we would end Act 1, which would mean the first, big turning point would be would come into play. And so I'm thinking about ramping up to that. But as a graphic novel, we don't necessarily have to play by that rule. So let me get just a little bit of inspiration here. Well, not inspiration. I guess it's more like my bookshelf. Come on, bookshelf, don't fall down on me. All right. All right, so I don't want to feel the pressure to rush into it. Yeah, that's fine. So getting a little inspired by, well, not inspired, but I'm looking through the Watchmen graphic novel. And I know when so the graphic, the Watchmen graphic novel is, I know it was released in like volumes when it came out, but so yeah, again, yeah. So I can actually have this be like a really long well, yeah, like I said, I was kind of thinking about ramping up to an Act 1 finish, but I need to not think about that because this is not technically a screenplay. So I mean, still, I do like for the cadence and the rhythm of this story. We do want to kind of make sure we're pushing the action forward a little bit more here. I don't want to go into another office. I guess that's what I'm trying to avoid right now. After this, Jessica is going to go to one of her colleagues. His name is Willie Thomas. Willie Thomas is going to give her some counsel. And he's also a professor, and I don't want to go to another office just yet. So maybe it can be, and this is late at night already, so this is most likely going to be the next day. So here's a great lesson. So right now I'm trying to think of where this next scene is going to take place. I don't want it to take place in an office. I don't want it to be in Willie Thompson's office. I don't want to go from Jessica's office to Willie Thompson's office at this point. So what I'm thinking is, what I'm trying to think of is a different place for them to meet, for them to talk. And as I'm thinking about this, what I'm going to try and consider is if I can come up with a place that is symbolic in some way. And so as I'm constructing the scene, as I'm thinking about the scene, in this scene coming up, Jessica is going to speak to Willie. Dr. Beck is going to speak to Dr. Thomas. And Dr. Beck and Dr. Thomas, oh, I have an idea. So I'm talking about making it symbolic. So you have Dr. Beck and Dr. Thomas. Dr. Beck is frustrated because she's being told that she has to amend her editorial about accelerated hyperbeing integration, or else she'll be fired from her university position. She goes to Willie. Willie, who somewhat agrees with her findings, is much more wary about about her, what he sees as more extreme opinions about this accelerated hyperbeing integration. And it's just like saying accelerated hyperbeing integration. It sounds like really fancy and scientific. One of my favorite things about Star Trek: The Next Generation was that whenever there was an issue, they would offer up these. Whenever there was an issue with the ship, they would offer up these this jumble of pseudo futuristic technology terms, technological terms, and they could just make up whatever they want, you know. And so I've used that quite a bit. Let me see. Let's see if we can look up some Star Trek some Star Trek mumbo jumbo. Star Technobabble, that's what it was. The science behind the science fiction. Technobabble. So yeah, gonna use some technobabble. It is possible that the convergence of three tachyon pulses could have ruptured the subspace barrier and created an anti-time reaction. Bridge to engineering, negative effect on power reduction. Speed is still increasing. I'm Mr. Spock, and I found out why the emergency bypass control of matter antimatter integrator is fused. Oh, got bad news, Captain. The entire dilithium crystal converter assembly is fused. No chance of repair. Yeah, that doesn't even mean anything. Mr. LaForge, how long before the baryon suite begins on the Enterprise? About 25 minutes, sir. Didn't have enough time to go. We've rerouted all available power to the thrusters, but we can't break free. Try reversing the shield polarity. Gravitrons. We could disrupt their warp fields with an inverse gravitron burst. It would force them to drop to impulse until the gravitrons disappear. Yeah. So I think one of my favorite things about this is that I really like the idea of accelerated hyperbeing integration. Sounds fancier than what it is. Okay, so yeah, anyway, so I'm trying to think of a place for Beck and Thomas to meet. That is symbolic. She's looking for counsel. He is cautioning her. Eventually, he's going to encourage her. I think he's going to discourage her. He's going to say, you should write the amendment. You know, this could ruin your reputation. So don't ruin your reputation. And she I think she's going to relent. She's gonna begin to think to herself that she should make this amendment, or that she should make this change, and then something's gonna happen. There's gonna be a chrono shock, a big chrono shock. So we'll kind of map that out just a little bit. Not map it out. We'll just go back. Goes. Willie Thomas. He suggests she abide by heart. She begins to agree. But then there is a chrono shock. And I actually already have the title to that book. It is called How the Misintegration of hypers is killing us all. Steamroll with the 18-wheeler with the driver. Rough like Timberland wear, meaning the clan all my cruisers out there. Okay. After midnight, I better go. Stream just hit an hour. Got a little bit of writing done. Got to the end of the previous scene. Got into the next scene a little bit. Actually, got into the next couple of scenes because this is a few scenes. The release of this book makes her a pariah. Actually, she pulls out the manuscript to a book she's been working on and decides to finally finish and publish it. The book doubles down. She said, all right. Okay, people, that's a wrap. Got a little bit done. Gonna go. Thanks for joining us on this live write. Shout out to TCE, TCIS, Team Bandwagon, and Str8 Legendary, and all my creative friends and foes, creative friends, partners, clients, and collaborators. The legend grows. HUZZAH.